His Excellency Mr. Justin Sosu Adamai, Minister of Environment and Nature Protection of Benin. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Excellence, Madame la Présidente. Excellence,
Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen,
c'est un immense plaisir pour moi
it gives me immense pleasure to take the floor before this august assembly of representatives of government and science on this very crucial, very important issue for the future of humanity. First of all, on behalf of the President of the Republic, Dr. Thomas Bonier, on behalf of the people of Benin and our government, to warmly thank the authorities and the brave people of Denmark for the wonderful hospitality that they have shown to the delegation of Benin and myself on the very first day of our arrival here in Denmark. I would also like to congratulate our President for her well-deserved election to guide the work of this conference. I fully understand the difficult nature of her task, and I'm sure that thanks to her excellent qualities, she will fulfill her mission with success. I would also like to thank the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and to his theme for the professionalism that they have shown during the preparation and work of this conference. Madam President, climate change undeniably is the most serious challenge for all of our countries due to their impact on the main engines of development, which are man and the different ecosystems that are vital in order to ensure our full development. The same applies to the countries that we represent here. This is why we should spare no effort here to achieve in this beautiful city of Copenhagen a whole set of decisions that will satisfy our peoples and populations that are suffering more and more from the threat of serious and negative climate change. We have our responsibility as leaders to ensure the well-being of our peoples and establish a coherent, stable, just, and balanced climate regime in line with the UNFCCC, which will include the principle of common and differentiated responsibility with the leadership of developed countries in the fight against climate change. In this respect, the government of Benin, which I have the honor to represent here, on the basis of scientific research, most notably the conclusions of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and also on the basis of our own national experience, we'd like to see that in the future legal international instruments related to concerted action on long terms and new commitments of Annex I parties, the following key elements. First, the establishment of a robust international funding mechanism with transparent, effective, stable, and predictable governance in order to be able to deal with the enormous needs of funding related to the combat against climate change. In fact, the question of financing and investment is crucial if we are to succeed in the implementation of our policies and measures related to adaptation, mitigation, transfer of technology, and capacity building. According to numerous studies, there's a need for funding of $100 billion from now until 2020 for programs that would allow to reduce the vulnerability and strengthen the situation of countries that are currently suffering directly from climate change. Without ambitious and legally binding objectives related to mitigation by developed countries, as recommended by SUNS, these needs for funding will be even higher. Without ignoring the importance of mitigation, I think here the GEF can play an important role. Without ignoring the importance of mitigation, adaptation is one of the priorities for Benin. Here I'd like to stress the importance of full implementation of priority adaptation measures defined in national action plans for adaptation to climate change. The funding for the LDC fund should be significantly increased in order to implement the many priority measures. In order to assess the real level of vulnerability of countries, it is necessary to create regional centers of excellence on vulnerability and adaptation, and one of the missions of these centers would be to develop a package of measures that we adopted to the particular agroecological area. I believe, and this is number 3, the best solution in the long term in the fight against climate change is mitigation. In fact, with a significant reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, we would not be able to deal with the prime cause of climate change. This is why Benin believes that it is vital for developed countries to play their role as leaders in the fight against climate change by reducing by at least 45% their GHG emissions by 2020, baseline year of 1990, and by 95% by 2050. This commitment will have the advantage of preserving the growth of temperature in the world by only 1.5 degrees Celsius, a level that cannot be exceeded for vulnerable countries like Benin. Mitigation cannot be only the task of developed countries, as reflected in the Bali Action Plan. This is why my government is in favor of appropriate mitigation measures at the national level, but for this we have to benefit from the relevant financial and technological support from our partners, development partners, of the application of the MRV approach of actions and support. These measures strengthen the different initiatives that have already been taken by Benin and should be better known by the international community. As an illustration, I'll refer to the special program for reforestation and land rehabilitation of about $700,000, which has been financed from our own budget and covers the entire territory of the country. I'm convinced that this measure of mitigation, if included in the NAMA regime, will have even a bigger impact. There are many other initiatives in our country, and they all contribute to the fight against climate change. 4. In line with the mandates of the special working groups, it is important for our conference here in Copenhagen to arrive at a legally binding agreement on the climate regime after 2012 from a financial perspective, but point of view of commitments related to the reduction of GHG emissions for Annex I countries.